Okay, here we are in game 3, and they've changed colors again, back to the colors they had in game 1. So now we have Goths and Vikings. This was Set Civilizations. Game 3 is Goths and Vikings. So ACCM again in the yellow, playing as the Goths, and VNS Cool in the red, playing as the Vikings. And then we have in the green, in the bottom of the map, we have st4rk, again playing as the Goths, and also Vinchester in the top right of the map, and he'll be playing as the Vikings as a scout. So if we look at their maps, gold's pretty far forward for Vinchester, stone forward as well, but at least his main resources are in the back, as are his deer, but only has 3 deer. His boar are both inside, so no landing going to go on for him. As we see, a bit of a scout fight here, as nope, not going to engage there. And Vinchester, all of his resources, or no, this is st4rk, all of his resources forward, right at the front of his map. Only you might have 1 gold somewhere else. Nope, that gold's also really far forward. So really bad map for st4rk. He's not going to be able to just put down 5 town centers and boom, like you might expect st4rk to do. No, he's going to have to do something to secure all of these resources at the front of his base. And ACCM, let's see, nice gold towards the back, stone in the back, other stone kind of towards the back, and other 2 golds, not all the way towards the front, out of near the walls, but at least towards his teammate. And then Cool, a few resources forward, stone in the back. So his resource is also pretty far forward, but at least he does have this 1 gold. It's kind of towards his teammate instead of on the front, and this main gold is, at least there's a bit of space between the wall and that gold. But we're gonna have to see what st4rk does here with this map, with everything being so far forward. And if we take a look at the relics, 2 relics down here right next to st4rk, 2 relics right next to Vinchester, and 1 relic inside of Cool's base. And we see Cool just pushing in those deer. It's a nice shape for berries. Got to be careful though the villager doesn't look around the back, just to keep the villager on this side. Got deer, trying to get that deer under the town center, and here we go. Throwing it right there. Still 2 more deer to push in for him. And ACCM has brought in his boar, not quite under the town center, but that's okay. Trying to push in deer. That gold mine there makes it a bit awkward to try to push the deer because you have to push it around there as well. It's like Vinchester's Xing the relic. And st4rk's Xing all the resources on the front of his base, Xing where all of his golds are forward. And ACCM just trying to get that deer to behave, just trying to get it inside of his walls as he's moving out to put a mining camp up. And let's see, what is st4rk doing? Just now sending villagers to gold. ACCM's going up quickly to feudal on 25 population. Vinchester is going up on 26 population. Just a bit behind him. And st4rk, let's see, still adding in more villagers. Looks like he might try to click up on 28 population, sending lots of villagers out to gold. And there you go, he's up on 28 population, Cool's up on 27. So 25, 26, 27, 28. And barracks coming up for st4rk. Yeah, looks like with 3 on gold, he might be trying to make some archers, just to try to give him some control of this map in the beginning of the game. So he has quite a few villagers on wood. This 1 villager is trapped a bit, just to make sure the villager doesn't stay trapped for too long. As the barrack comes up, and the extra house as well. So this shows he is going to be making units in the feudal age. But we see blacksmith market for Vinchester, and blacksmith market also for ACCM. So Goths and Vikings on opposite sides, both going for blacksmith market, whereas we see stable blacksmith from VNS Cool, and also stable blacksmith from st4rk. So we will see some scouts from both of those players. So both teams have 1 player booming and the other player making some scouts. Vinchester looks like he might be Xing where his gold is, and then also where part of Cool's base is. And scouts, both players have their scouts here. I know Vinchester likes to lure and bore with his scouts, that's probably why his HP is missing. Still Xing resources here from Cool. This player is going about to hit castle. And now Vinchester is up to the castle age. Let's see what he's doing. He has quite a few villagers. Oh, that is St4rk. Vinchester is up here. He's putting down one town center, putting down 2 town centers immediately as the Vikings, so it looks like he's just going to try and boom as the Vikings. Meanwhile, St4rk getting out a couple spearmen, sending a villager forward, trying to take that scout fight, but he will lose his scout. And one hit, that scout's still going to stay alive, needs to be hit one more time to die. And Monastery coming up for ACCM as he's putting 2 town centers down as well. Up here for red, we see Cool. Hasn't added in any extra town centers yet, still on 1 TC. Doing bowsaw, getting out some spearmen. And building a house in his woodline. There you go, putting a town center on that gold as he makes a knight. And a siege workshop coming forward for St4rk. Looks like he's going to try to get rather aggressive, as he is also against a Goths player. And ACCM is going to try walling up behind, but looks like there's a scout from St4rk inside of ACCM's base. And it's going to stop that house from going up. Needs to be careful not to run into the town center. And the scout is going to come over here and try to pick it off as a knight and a spearman come down from VNS Cool to help out down here. Spearman will get a few hits on the knight, but will die as this villager going to be forced back. Only one villager from St4rk coming forward, and that's going to be pushed back. Not even going to run into the gate, doesn't want to open the gate for the scout and the knight. Just going to sacrifice the villager to keep that closed. While inside of that siege workshop, he has a mangonel, but that mangonel is not going to come outside anytime soon. It's going to need a few monks behind it, and maybe a few more spearmen to keep these knights away. As that now, ACCM does have a chance to build up a house wall. Of course, he is the Goths, so he won't have any stone walls, but he is now on 3 town centers compared to the 1 town center from St4rk. So St4rk is going to have to do some damage here, as we've seen a few knights from VNS Cool, but now just now adding in his 3rd town center. But we see Vinchester is ahead by about 10 villagers, and he's the Vikings, so we could see a very strong boom from him already on 4 town centers. So Vinchester is going to have a strong economy, and it's going to come down to St4rk to buy enough time for Vinchester to get his economy rolling and make some units. But now it looks like this mangonel is going to start pressuring down this gate as this extra set of houses comes up in the back from ACCM. This one scout might try to come pick it off, but getting a mangonel shot, missing, hitting his own scouts, and the scout's going to run inside. And the scouts unfortunately won't be able to keep the gate open. But no more siege weapons coming out from St4rk, just 1 mangonel for now. He's bought himself some time with taking control of this area of the map with those scouts, and siege workshop coming up from ACCM to try to defend. It's a bit far forward. He could risk getting some of his mangonels trapped if he lets them out there. But another mangonel now coming out for St4rk. He's adding in a 2nd town center, and looks like he's going to try to push in on 2 town centers. Meanwhile, Vinchester still on 4 town centers, adding in a monastery. Might be looking to click up soon. If we check his resources, not quite there yet, but 1, 2, 3. Still only 3 town centers from Cool, and large villager elite now for Vinchester as St4rk slowly starting to fall behind as this villager needs to come and wall behind that house. Could he build another house behind it? Yep, he's going to add in another house behind that house. And the mangonel looks like he finally will fire. Will he fire at the villager? Nope, running the villager away. He has got a lot of HP on that house. Losing a monk, unfortunately, though, as the scout gets taken out. But there are a couple monks here. But Goths, I don't think that the Goths get redemption, do they? No redemption and no atonement. So no converting monks or siege. But they can keep these scouts away. And now ACCM has his own mangonel out. That will help him to defend. Looks like he does manage to get one convert on a scout. Has to run it away. This villager needs to keep repairing the house though, as it's slowly going down. And looks like the scout manages to get converted back. There's this house about to go down, but a castle coming up behind it, so not going to be too much of a problem. Another house coming up next to it and behind it just to buy himself a tiny bit more time, but the mangonels will take that house out quite quickly. And that villager going down, house not going up, but the castle, you just need to buy himself enough time to get the castle up, and it looks like he will. Might lose a mangonel, but nope, not even, as the scouts are going to run back. And Vinchester, if he wants to push in, would need to push in down here now to get away from that castle, but the castle is going to keep the gold and the stone safe, and ACCM does have this town center, these two town centers keeping the rest of his resources safe. So hasn't built any of his base down here, which is a very good decision, because if Stark does decide to push down here, he's not going to lose anything. He can just keep walling up back here and keep all of his resources safe. And now looks like Stark's given up on that, and he's just going to start pressuring Cool, but he's really far behind in villagers though. And maybe he can do a bit of damage to let Vinchester come in later, as Vinchester puts up a town center on this stone. These few knights still coming out from Cool, as Vinchester still on 4 town centers, getting up almost to 100 villagers. And if we look at his resources, just about to click up to Imp. And should be up any moment, as long as he does have his castle age buildings. That's his monastery, and there we go, we see VNS Cool clicking up, but does Vinchester, doesn't have a university, doesn't have a siege workshop, and just building his university now, so didn't time that right, didn't put the university down when he needed it, and he has a bunch of resources saved up, but he's not going to be able to click up to Imp right away. And VNS Cool is going to have a good advantage getting up to Imp faster, and this monk could be picked off if they're paying attention, and they are. And now a few Huskarls coming out, and they'll be able to deal pretty well with these mangonels, with these scouts, and with these spearmen. And now this castle will just produce Huskarl for ACCM, as nothing really being produced right now for Stark. Has added in a 3rd town center in the back, but still really far behind in villagers, and it's going to come down to Vinchester. Can Vinchester do enough damage to carry this game? And we'll see. We already see he is delayed clicking up to Imperial, about 50 seconds behind. And Stark's doing a lot of Xing, saying that there's a gap there, and saying that there's gold there. So that mangonel will be picked off by that knight, unless that monk can somehow get the conversion in time. Doesn't look like it, as the mangonel goes down. And Vinchester now adding in a castle, so Viking player, we could see him going for berserks, adding in a barracks, and still mining stone, has a lot of food and a lot of gold that he hasn't spent yet, doing the chainmail armor, so we know he will be going for infantry. And VNS Cool, meanwhile, looks like doing bodkin arrow and ballistics and putting down archery ranges. Looks like he's going for arbalest. And with Stark being so far behind, he's probably not going to be in a position to make Huskarl to deal with the arbalest, so the arbalest should be able to deal with, looks like maybe berserks from the Viking player. So it looks like these arbalests should be in a good position to take out the berserks, and yeah, there's the berserk from Vinchester. But what's he going to be able to do with them? He can certainly fight the Goths, but... Ooh, now here we see 2 petards coming in. Hopefully they don't waste themselves on the side of the gate. That they're coming around this angle for some reason instead of going straight for the gold. And Vinchester is now up to the Imperial Age, and the petards coming in and going for the gate. No. Slight wall off here, but not going for the gate, going for this wall here. I think the gate probably would have been a better choice there. But now the Huskarl are in. Just a few monks behind to keep them away. But once that house only has 83 HP on it, And that mangonel can keep the villagers away from the gold because the monks can't convert it. The knights coming out though, Huskarl's out of position, not able to protect the mangonels from the knights, and 2 mangonels going down immediately. This mangonel coming out of the siege workshop wasn't going to be able to do much anyway, but now Arbalest coming forward, finding these castles as Vinchester doing elite berserk and doing tracking, doing iron casting, just trying to do all the infantry upgrades, as ACCM is also up to the Imperial Age. Still on 3 town centers, has about 86 villagers, and Vinchester does have the biggest eco at this point, and his team does have the score lead, but I don't know if he has the unit combination he needs, because now he's adding in more berserks, but more Arbalest are coming in from this Vikings player. And the Huskarl, they're already out for ACCM, and this gold here isn't going to last forever for st4rk. He's had pretty much no access to gold, already has a market up in the back of his base, but what's he going to be able to do for gold? Castle now coming up to protect this gold for ACCM, so his economy really safe right now. Looks like he's finished up the stone over there and is moving out to mine the stone here. And a few elite berserks running around. They have their armor upgrades, but these siege workshops are going to be denied by the Arbalest. Just now doing the leather archer armor. Berserk's going to take a few hits. And Cool, definitely behind in economy behind Vinchester, but if you look at the military, he right now has the military advantage, and he also has the unit combination he needs to be able to survive against these berserks until his economy can catch up. Siege workshops coming out, and we'll need to see Rams and Onagers to deal with the, and I see Capped Ram right now to deal with the Arbalest, but you really need something that can kill them, and he's going to rely on st4rk to stay alive, as st4rk has a pretty similar vill count to ACCM, but ACCM is in the Imperial Age now, and we see an X there from Vinchester showing where his army is, as his army from ACCM is marching around. st4rk saying, yeah, I'm here, but it doesn't have much there. Xing all this stuff from ACCM. And slowly but surely, Vinchester is adding in more berserks, but only has 3 castles, and the castles are not starting to be trebbed down yet. The trebs are focusing on the siege workshop, as he's trying to get out mangonels and do the onager upgrade, but we saw him earlier do the capped ram upgrade, but now he's not making any capped rams. And at least that's not the siege workshop with the onager upgrade in it, so that upgrade will be completed as the trebs are starting to fire down on the castles. And right now he just needs these Arbalest to defend the trebuchets long enough. Ooh, could that onager get a good shot? Gets a few Arbalest, but then gets taken out. Cavalry coming in from the side, but Huskarls are there to deal with them. As berserks getting converted and getting cut down by the Arbalest. And we see that military numbers from Vinchester just dropping, not able to spend his resources fast enough. If you look at his resources, he still has over 1,000 food and gold, but only 3 castles to produce berserks. Just now trying to queue up more, but he doesn't have the production he needs to deal with these Arbalest, as now we have 4 trebuchets out. These castles, they're not making berserks, they're just making trebuchets, and now the Goths are coming over here with some 2-handed swordsmen. Soon to be champions. Perfusion coming in for ACCM. He's doing all of his upgrades. Meanwhile, st4rk is still stuck back in the castle age. Doesn't really have any military. And Vinchester now has 150 villagers, but pretty much nothing. And once he loses these castles, he's going to lose his berserk production. His production is already pretty low, but now just trying to put down more siege workshops. Needs to get out some onagers, but Huskarls are here to snipe off the onagers, and Vietnamese team looks to be in a really strong position as this castle going down, another trebuchet coming forward. st4rk just now getting to Imp, and we'll see, can he do anything? Now he needs to do all of his upgrades, and ACCM is just really far ahead on the upgrades right now. There's just not enough berserks to take this fight here with the Arbalest. 1 castle going down, that's really going to hurt his production. Rams are coming forward, and now another castle coming forward for Vienna School. He'll be able to get out even more trebuchets. Can this onager get off a shot? Yes, it kills a few Arbalest, but then goes down. Rams being forced away. But still, 20 and 10 military compared to about 100 military for the VNS team. And now even Treb's coming out from ACCM to focus down this castle. And ooh, that could be a nice angle shot there. Ooh, killing quite a few arbalests, but I don't think it's going to be enough. And start attributing stone to Vinchester just so that he can keep the castle up. But Ram coming in now as well, 3 trebuchets. Doesn't have enough villages there to repair it. That castle's going to go down. And there it goes. Only 1 castle left for the Berserks. And this looks like it's going to be it pretty soon for Vinchester. VNS Cool, he's finally got his economy up to a really large number of villages, up to 125. And Onagers are coming out at the bat, but they're not really getting any shots on the Arbalest. These things are in spread formation, they're really far apart, and they're able to pick off the Onagers before they can get their shots off. And now it looks like we did have another couple castles in the back. Vinchester just desperately trying to produce Berserks, but he's not going to have the numbers he needs. As finally we see some champions coming from the bottom from St4rk, but of course Arbalest will be able to do a good job at killing champions as well. And we have this really nice combination now of Arbalest, Berserks, and Champions from our Vietnamese team. Is the elite Berserks are now coming in with the 3 castles up from Cool. And here you are, this castle going down as well. Lots of villagers repairing it, but it's really difficult to repair against 3 trebuchets, and probably not going to be able to repair against 5 trebuchets as those honors going down. Finally, some champions just chilling down here, not able to engage. Not enough of them yet. St4rk's now got his production up to around 54 military, but Vinchester never able to get that production going. Still around 8. And now, even St4rk sending even more stone to Vinchester, trying to build more castles, just desperately trying to get these Berserks, but just not the right unit to deal against the Arbalest. They had rather unfortunate that they had to deal with this map. Now both players peacefully both mining this same gold down here without attacking each other, since they're sending all of their units up here. But now we see the barracks from ACCM coming forward, so he'll have champions here ready to reinforce, and he'll have these Viking Berserks ready to fight the Goth Huskarls. And this gate about to go down, and there we are. Now Vinchester's base is open, still is managing to build more castles back here. He's lost so many castles, but he still keeps trying to build more. But that military count still down 7, 8, 9, really low. St4rk sending even more stone to him. Doing caravan, trying to get some trade, building even another castle even further to the back, but lots of rams coming in. Now final archer armor upgrade for Cool, as now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trebuchets are going to be firing up those castles. Those castles are going to go down really quickly, even the rams coming in from behind. And ACCM now is noticing what's going on down here, building a barracks to take that gold for himself. But now even more stone going to Vinchester, but he's just going to be losing all of this stone. Is now Vinchester slinging St4rk. He had a whole bunch of food, so many resources that he's not spending. And this castle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 trebs. And that castle is going down. Only 1 castle left for Vinchester. He's lost so many castles. But these siege workshops, siege ram about to come in for Cool. They're about to get in. These berserks blocking the ram so it can't attack the house. We'll delay that a bit. A few berserks, but not really enough. As yet another castle from Vinchester going up in the back. He's spending all this stone just building castle after castle, but they're getting destroyed. He needed to have all these castles up at one time so he could make lots of berserks. But since they just keep getting taken out, his military is just staying at such a low number that he's losing all of these fights. And the Berserks will do a good job against the Goths, but the Goths will just have so many units as the trebuchets continue to move forward. And they're about to take out this castle as well. Pretty much no villagers in the area to repair it. These two castles are going down. And more trebuchets come in. Villagers trying to run back, but they don't know what to do. They're running backwards and forwards, and they're just falling to the arbalest. And that castle now down. Siege rams are in. Vinchester's economy is vulnerable. His population is dropping. Stark still fighting over this gold, building some trebuchets to try to take out these barracks, but ACCM is just going to build more barracks behind it. And now only this gold and these two gold piles now for Stark. He is able to access them, but doesn't really matter now that his teammate's going to die. There's lots of siege workshops coming out, but I don't know what Vinchester is going to try to do with them. His Onagers at this point will just die to the Berserks. Maybe try to get a few more good shots on the Arbalest, as the Goths player finally does have some Huskarls to deal with the Arbalest, but there's Berserks and Champions all over the place. They'll be able to take out the Huskarls, as the final castle now being fired upon by the Trebuchets. Ooh, but the Huskarls are doing a good job taking out all four of those Trebs and these two Trebs. Only one Treb left, but really nothing left to defend that castle. As Stark now doing a great job pushing in on the side, as these champions are on no attack stance, as they just stand there getting killed by Stark's champions. As this one decides to go attack a mining camp, while all of his friends just stand there doing nothing while they get cut down. And now Stark has secured that gold, but here's key. We have some trade back for the Vietnamese team. They have their markets. Building them to the side of the map, probably should delete that, but pretty good positioning for their markets. Trading can be awkward on Arena. But lots of idle villagers, needs to pay attention to those, retask them. But champions chasing across the map. This castle finally has gone down. Could this Onager get a decent shot? No, not really, only killed one Arbalest. And now a mixture of champions and Huskarls fighting against champions and Arbalest, as a few Onagers just trying to chase them around. But if you look at Cool, he has a very high KD, very high score. And if you look at his resources, still has about 2k gold in the bank, so he'll be able to produce units for a long time, as another castle from Vinchester in the back of his base going down to the siege rams, as these berserks are all in his economy. He's dropping in build count down. He was at 150 earlier, now he's down to 100. And now stables coming up, scout cavalry. Cool, looking to probably do the light cav upgrade, chain barding, and use his cavalry to do some raiding. As Stark now has managed to build up, is doing a good job pushing into ACCM. That's why they haven't. Oh, Vinchester resigns right there. He's just so far out. And Stark was pushing in, but probably would not have been enough anyway. And it looked like Stark just wants to continue pushing into ACCM. And Vinchester, somehow the overlay says he's at negative numbers of military. I don't know how that happened, but I guess the game just doesn't like that he resigned already or something. -2 military for Vinchester. As we see this push over here, Stark is pushing really well into ACCM, but ACCM now bringing his army back as Stark's getting pressured over here. And trying to take out that castle as his champions patrol here. But enough champions back now to stop this push. As the Goths just continue streaming their champions. Is how many? Stark still has about 1,000 gold. He finally says GG. Vinchester just built so many castles, but didn't have them all up at the same time, and wasn't able to make berserks enough to have a large enough army to deal with all of these arbalest. So pretty unfortunate use of the positioning of the resources down here for Stark, forcing him to go aggressive and slow him down. And since he wasn't able to get the Huskarls out quickly enough, that allowed our Viking player to go into arbalest, which were able to deal with the berserks from Vinchester. So we'll take a look at the achievements. And we see ACCM, both most units killed and most units lost. That can happen when you are the Goths. And Vinchester losing 109 buildings. Economy had a really big economy, but just wasn't able to spend those resources. And we'll see total castles, 9 total castles. Stark slung him a lot of stone, but still couldn't produce berserks. 152 villagers. And if you see that timeline, huge population, but then if we look, there's the military population from Cool. That starts getting up higher well before Vinchester's does. That not having that university looks like it delayed his imp time quite a bit too, and that probably slowed him down as well. So ACCM and Cool, our Vietnamese team, take the series 3-0. They'll move on past the round of 16 to the round of 8. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.